Story number 1. I used to be a police officer. I'm retired now and I live at home by myself. This story happened about 10 years ago. I had been on the force for about 3 months at the time. I had my proper training, but I never had to arrest anyone before. I mostly pulled people over for speeding and minor stuff like that. Anyway, one night I was driving down the highway and suddenly I had to stop and go to the bathroom. I tried to hold it in, but it got worse over time. I sighed and figured I would have to pull over at a gas station on the next exit. So I pulled off into the parking lot. I tried the lock. No luck. I went inside to the store area and asked for the key. The guy at the front handed it to me, but I could tell something seemed off about him. He thanked me for my service and seemed way too nice. Well, I didn't think much of it at the time. I just went around and unlocked the door and left it unlocked, as the room only had 2 toilets and a sink. I finished going number 1. As I finished, I heard the bathroom door open, and then I saw shoes and heard footsteps. The shoes and sound stopped right outside the stall. I then saw an eye through the crack in the door. I screamed and suddenly the guy pulled out a knife and began slicing it through the crack. I pulled out my gun and ordered him to drop the knife. Once he saw that I had a gun, he did so, and I heard it drop. I unlocked and opened the door and still had my gun on him. Suddenly he ran at me and tried to tackle me. I pushed him off, fearing for my life, and then I shot him in the chest. He fell down and began to scream in pain. Still with my gun aimed at him, I put him in cuffs while he was on the floor. I put him in my cruiser, and I don't want to bore you with the details, but long story short, he survived the shot. He was charged for assault of a police officer, attempted murder, and God knows what else. I never saw that man again, and let me just say, I'm happy for that. Story number 2. A few months ago, I got a gig working at a local gas station. The pay was decent, and it was on local roads, so I didn't have to deal with any annoying or bad people that I don't know. My town is small, and we almost never get visitors, and everyone knows each other. You know, those kind of towns. Keep this in mind for later. So I'm at the register doing my thing. It's about 8:30 and my shift ends at 10. No one is coming in and I just wanted to wait for the hour and a half to be over. Usually there are me and 3 others working, with my boss in the back. However, 2 of the 3 other people working are my boss's sons, and they are all out for vacation. The other guy was someone else older than me that I didn't really know, but he was feeling kind of sick. Anyway, I'm kind of just sitting there, minding my own business, when I see headlights and a car pull in. Finally, something to do, I thought. I'm shy, so I kind of just wanted the guy to fill up, pay, and then leave. I noticed that they weren't getting out of the car. Rather, just sitting there. Suddenly, the driver's side door opened, and I saw someone step out. A man for sure, but I couldn't tell anything else. He stared in my direction for like 30 seconds. It made me feel uncomfortable to see him looking through the glass, and it got about 10 times worse when I noticed that he was intentionally staring at me. He started walking towards me. Suddenly another man came from behind the car and joined the first man and started walking to me. They opened the door and I heard the bell at the front door. "Hi," I said politely. "Can I help you?" One man just looked at me and the other said wait, then started walking around to the back. I started getting uncomfortable now. What was he doing? These guys gave off bad vibes. "Sir, you can't go back there," I yelled. No answer. The other guy just stood there, looking at me. I could see out of the corner of my eye, but I didn't want to look back. It felt like hours till the other man came back. I hoped that he would just bring up a beer, a snack, or something, and leave. Suddenly the guy staring at me pulls a gun on me. I turned to look and gasp. "Give us everything you got," shouted the first man. I turned and see that he pulled out a gun as well. I was so defenseless in that moment. I just wanted to be anywhere else. I slowly opened the register and handed them the money. Without keeping their gun or eyes off me, the 2 left. I watched them go to their car, start it, and then leave. I cried for at least 10 minutes. I got on the phone and dialed 911. Police showed up shortly and inspected the place. I gave my description of the men to the police. They left about half an hour later. I called my boss and told him about it. He said I could stay home for as long as I needed. I'm happy I have a nice boss who didn't yell at me for letting his store get robbed. The men didn't wear masks, but the police somehow never found them. I quit my job about a week later. Honestly, it makes me sick to think that we have criminals out there who target defenseless people and take advantage of them. Story 3. When I was about 19 or 20, my parents forced me to get a job so I could buy my own house and move out soon. I went to a local college and I had a friend who worked there who recommended I work at a gas station nearby in need of employees. At first I thought it would be embarrassing to have one of my friends see me there, but I thought of it as a local job. It seemed easy enough and the pay was okay. Not anything out of this world, but I think I could tolerate it. I told my parents and they were just happy I found something to do. The next day I went down to the gas station and asked for the job. I walked in and went to the back. I saw the boss there and asked if I could work there. He said sure and got up and gave me the uniform. This was weird. I never heard of a boss who just gave someone a job when they asked. Not even small places like this. I felt bad afterwards, thinking that he was just desperate for workers and jumped in on the first chance he saw anyone. He said I started tomorrow. I thanked him and left. I told my parents about it and they seemed to think it was weird too, but congratulated me for the job. The next morning I went in and my boss told me what to do and what not to do and gave me basic information. I stocked shelves and unfortunately cleaned the bathrooms and worked the register for most of my shift. When it was time to go home, my boss asked me for my number and if I had Snapchat. I could understand the number because what if he wanted to text me or call me about work? Why my Snapchat too? I awkwardly gave it to him. It was weird, but I brushed it off and didn't think about that. Looking back, I should have just gave him the number and told him I didn't have Snapchat. That night, I woke up at like 3 in the morning. I forgot about how I gave my boss my Snap and my number. I got a glass of water and checked my phone for notifications. Someone added me on Snapchat. It was probably my boss, so I accepted the friend request. He had no Bitmoji and his Snap score was literally 30. Maybe he's just really new, I thought. I also saw that I got a few texts from an unknown number. I opened them, and he said, "Hi, this is blank. Is this blank?" "Yes, it is. Hello," I texted back. Then I realized how weird it was to be texting someone at this hour. Oddly enough, he answered back in like 30 seconds. He sent a picture. It took me a second to see that it was my house. It looked to be taken from a few seconds ago to the side of my house. "Is this your house?" Out of fear, I texted back no, and then he said, "Don't worry. No need to lie." Then a smile emoticon. I wish I could take a pic, but in the heat of a moment, I didn't think about that. I was just fearing for my life. I blocked the number and unadded the Snapchat. I then called the cops and reported him trying to harass me. To make matters worse, I was home alone and couldn't just ask my dad to help me. I heard a loud smash from the downstairs, then a laugh. A terrifying laugh. The 911 operator told me to lock myself in my room and stay calm. The man walked up to my door and screamed that he wasn't going to hurt me. I didn't believe it. If that was the case, then why would he just break in? I cried and begged him to go away while screaming that the police were coming. He stopped pounding and then I heard him shuffle down the stairs and out the door. Police showed up 5 minutes later. I called my parents and told them what happened. I also told my best friend. The police found the man about 30 minutes later. He was limping. I think he cut his leg on some glass. My boss was arrested. He isn't my boss anymore as I quit. I got a new job at a grocery store and it's a lot better. My parents said sorry for putting me through this, but honestly, I'm just happy that the guy is in jail and won't be able to hurt anyone anymore.